Thank you, President of Parliament. Good evening to my colleagues. Good evening to Honorable Minister Vromi and his support staff and the viewing public. Minister, you mentioned that the list of planned, the road schedule for the side roads will be sent in writing, I believe. That will be done before the public meeting. But I also asked if you could have it done for the public in general. So I don't want it just for me as a member of parliament. Before we left, and multiple times, I believe the minister published the schedule for the general public, especially those that will be affected by the road schedule, months in advance. So can that, and when will that be done for the public? Because I keep on realizing that a lot of answers are not being fully answered, Minister. You mentioned the timeline, the aesthetics policy. I believe there was already a draft in government. So what is your timeline for this aesthetics policy? What do you see, where do you see it being presented to us maybe, or actually going into implementation? With the top 10 offenders, you mentioned privacy, but I never asked for the names of these top 10 offenders. We asked for the amounts. So the top 10 offenders and what those amounts are. In addition to that, what is the ministry doing to go and actually collect this money? When we look at, we were heavily focused on revenue generation, the Ministry of Finance and VROMI, and like I said, we collected a couple of million. You guys said you have in anticipation of one entity collecting 1.2 million, and I would like to know if that's reflected. Has that been communicated to the Ministry of Finance? Is that supposed to be collected this year? Is that part of the current budget amendment that we have now? That'll be all, Madam Chair.
Thank you, MP Irian. Minister, I don't see any except for MP York just indicating that he has something to add. MP York, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, Minister and support staff once again. Minister, I know the following questions doesn't fall 100% under your purview, but with that being said, for what I understood, you are the ideal person to ask the questions to, as it pertains to monuments. Am I correct that that you were also a member of the Monument Council once upon a time? Yes? No? Yeah? Okay, good. So
That's
my information. No.
Okay.
That was a little quick in between.
Oh, okay.
The reason why is because, as you know, maybe would know, a hot topic is the monuments on the Diamond Estate Hill, right? And I would more use that as an example, but monuments in its totality when it comes to the ruination of them. I don't know if you're up to date with the motion that was passed last March. So it's over a year ago, about a year and a half ago, where it was unanimously passed that both the Departments of Culture and VROMI and Ministry of VROMI would, make a detailed monument list, or add to the existing monument list. But where VROMI was concerned, the spatial planning ordinance would be adjusted where you could establish violations for monuments, the ruination of monuments, and the penal code thereof. My question is, from what I understood from the prior administration, and also investigate the offenders. What I understood from the prior administration that the investigation started. I think a name or two was identified. Are you aware of the then investigation? Has it continued, or is it something that you plan to pick up? If you're not aware, do you plan on picking it up, seeing the necessity of it moving forward? And what is your stance, seeing your experience being on the Monument Council, when it pertains to violation, establishing proper violation for offenders and repeat offenders? So that would be my question pertaining to the monuments, because especially with Diamond Estate is concerned, contrary to, although the Honorable Prime Minister explained that recently there were some they were cleaning up in the area of, but history has proven that a lot of times it's cleaning up, and every time they clean up, one piece of the monument disappears, and the next piece disappears, and the next piece disappears until it just disappears in the middle of the night and no one knows anything. So moving forward, my question would be, what are the plans of the ministry when it comes to protection of monuments, when it comes to the violation of when it comes to ruination of the monument, and what is the status of the investigation as it pertains to the offenders that ruined this one? That was my question pertaining to the monuments. The minister answered some questions that I posed prior, in particular to the St. James Estate questions as it pertains to the car wrecks. That from me moves car wrecks and not abandoned cars. Also, that because it's private property, it would have to be with permission of the landowner. But the minister also said through you, Madam Chair, that it's the responsibility of the landowner to organize it themselves. So I didn't fully understand. So is it something that the landowners can request but not depend on VROMI to do it all the time? Or is it something that can be worked out between VROMI and the landowners? Because what happens, especially in that area, let's say I'm on one side of the road, I have 4 neighbors on one side of the road. The other side of the road is still not built. The land has not been built on as yet, so the landowner is not around. But on one Friday night, from Friday to Saturday, before you know it, you have 4 abandoned, stolen, or even wrecks placed on those open lots of land. I understand that the landowners can then move it themselves, but at a certain point in time, it becomes very costly. So the question was more pertaining, I understand very much so, that it's under the purview of the landowner, but what can VROMI do in those instances? I don't know if it's if VROMI can assist with, through you, Madam Chair, with barricading the property with boulders or whatever, and helping the landowners with that, if they're open to that. But I was more looking into what the options are outside of what the rules and regulations provide. Furthermore, the landfill, I understand that the prior and the current administration is busy with the waste management plans. But my question is more geared towards the landfill itself. So basically, when a hill is excavated, the dirt that derives from the hill, what are the plans moving forward with that? So not with the waste, but more the dirt, because when you look at the landfill, majority of it is, as you said, it's landfill, not garbage in particular. And I know the plans moving forward when it comes to solid waste, as it was explained to me, is the separation of the two from each other, where you would not need as much dirt to cover the garbage moving forward. But my question is, in particular, what happens to the dirt? Because moving forward, we'll have more excavation of the hills, seeing that the flat land is almost obsolete. So I think, especially with that is concerned, that a plan for the usage of that is, or the storage of that is very well needed. Maybe you guys already started planning for that already. Property tax for the non-residents, if I understood correctly, the minister said he's open to that. I don't know if I understood that correctly. But I'm very much aware that the property tax for residents, property tax in its totality already exists but hasn't been implemented. I understand that. Actually, for me, that could be repealed. But it was more aimed towards the non-residents, or basically foreign investors that invest in St. Maarten, don't live on St. Maarten, but are benefiting from their properties on St. Maarten. So that, just to be specific, that is what my question was geared towards. And that would be it for my question. Oh yeah, and moving forward when it comes to the road resurfacing, my question would be, would the minister be open to implementing 3 things: drill cores prior, drill cores post, and height surveys before any asphalt is being laid? Yes, thank you.
Thank you, MP York. MP Otley, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good day to the Honorable Minister of VROMI.